Durk and 5 co-conspirators are charged with murder for hire. Number 1, are you surprised?
Nah, not surprised.
Lil Durk, whose real name is Dirk Banks, is dealing with some serious new charges. He's facing 2 felony charges, including conspiracy for allegedly being involved in a plot to kill a rival rapper in Los Angeles back in 2022. But here's the twist: the shooters missed their target and ended up killing someone else instead. 5 other people are also facing charges, and 4 of them are from Chicago, like Durk. Durk's time behind bars has definitely taken an unexpected turn, and the buzz surrounding it has been impossible to ignore. Over the past few weeks, reports have emerged about his experience in jail, and some of the details have been both surprising and, in some cases, disturbing. His fans, who've been anxiously following his legal journey, have found themselves with even more questions than answers, and social media has been flooded with reactions, many of them raising concerns about how Durk is holding up. One of the most surprising elements of Durk's time in jail has been the way he's been treated by other inmates. For a celebrity like him, you'd think there might be a sense of immunity or protection simply because of his fame. In some cases, that's true. Celebrities often get preferential treatment behind bars, with some receiving special privileges that help them avoid trouble or keep them separated from the general population. But Durk's situation is different. He's been kept in the general population, and that has led to a series of unsettling incidents that have had fans wondering just how safe he is. Some reports have suggested that Durk has had to deal with uncomfortable situations involving other inmates, including hostile interactions and attempts to target him because of his fame. While there's been no confirmation of any major altercations, it's clear that the environment isn't exactly easy for someone in Durk's position. The jailhouse politics are tough, and being a high-profile figure can sometimes make you a target, whether it's for jealousy, financial extortion, or simply being seen as an easy mark. Even though Durk has reportedly managed to avoid significant issues so far, the threat of violence is always looming in an environment like that. But it's not just the inmates that are raising concerns. The prison staff have also come under scrutiny, with some fans questioning whether they're doing enough to keep Durk safe. High-profile cases like Durk's have often led to extra security and monitoring, but there's been some worry that he isn't getting the level of protection that someone in his position should receive. Rumors have circulated about the potential for staff negligence or even complicity in some of the incidents Durk's faced, although nothing concrete has been reported. Still, the uncertainty surrounding how much the prison staff are involved or how much attention they're actually paying to his well-being has sparked conversations about the systemic issues at play in the justice system. What's made all of this even more intense is how quickly this information has spread. Social media platforms have been ablaze with fans posting updates, reactions, and concerns. As we know, social media can be a double-edged sword. While it's great for raising awareness, it can also fuel rumors and misinformation. A lot of the details that have surfaced, particularly the disturbing ones, haven't been fully verified, but that hasn't stopped people from speculating. Some fans have taken to platforms like Twitter and Instagram to express their anger over what they perceive as unfair treatment, while others are rallying behind Durk, showing support and solidarity. For Durk, this has been a whole new kind of battle. The rapper, who has spent much of his life building a massive fan base, now finds himself the subject of an entirely different kind of public attention. Fans who once admired him for his music and street credibility are now concerned about his well-being behind bars. They want answers, and many of them are anxious to see how the situation unfolds. The idea that someone like Durk, who has made it to the top of the rap game, could be struggling in such a dangerous and unpredictable environment is hard for many to grasp. The fact that he's chosen to stay in the general population rather than seeking protective custody like many high-profile inmates only adds to the tension and uncertainty surrounding his experience. In the midst of all this, Durk has stayed relatively quiet about the specifics of his time behind bars. He's not one to engage with every rumor or speculation, which is understandable given the nature of the situation. Still, the fans are left to wonder, is Durk really doing okay in there, or is he facing more challenges than anyone realizes? The unanswered questions about his safety, his mental health, and what he's dealing with behind bars have only made people more invested in his story. While Durk's legal battle is far from over, the drama surrounding his time in jail has already added a new layer to his public persona. The tough conditions he's dealing with, combined with the public's growing concerns, have turned his incarceration into something more than just a legal issue. It's become a matter of personal and public intrigue. Fans are anxiously waiting for updates, hoping that Durk will emerge from this ordeal stronger than ever. But until then, the story continues to unfold, with every new detail sparking more conversation, more speculation, and more questions about what's really going on behind bars. So Durk, the Chicago rapper who's made it big with Grammy nominations and hit songs, was arrested in South Florida for something that happened back in 2022. He ended up in Broward County Jail, which has a pretty rough reputation. He was arrested on October 25th, and instead of being transferred right away, he got stuck in this notorious facility while waiting to be moved to a U.S. Marshals facility. The charges didn't even happen in Florida, but that's where he got caught, and since bail wasn't an option, he ended up stuck there for a while. Broward County Jail is known for housing some of the state's most dangerous criminals, and the conditions are tough. With a massive layout and several sections, it's hard to ignore the fact that it's not a place anyone would want to be. It also has a lot of inmates dealing with mental health issues, and reports of bad conditions aren't rare. Durk ended up in a place that's seen its fair share of controversy, with accusations of mistreatment by the staff. And of course, with laws in Florida blocking footage from inside, it's hard to say exactly what's happening behind closed doors. But former inmates have shared stories about extreme isolation, lack of care for mental health, and even deaths from neglect. People who've been there say the biggest loss is privacy. You're constantly being watched, your stuff gets searched, and every move is under the microscope. It's not an easy life, especially when you're stuck in crowded cells and everything about your life becomes public. That said, Durk didn't exactly get the VIP treatment. Even though he's a huge celebrity, he had to deal with the same conditions as everyone else. But soon, he was moved to a different jail in LA for his arraignment. And here's the kicker, his bail was denied. The judge didn't feel like taking any risks with such serious charges, so Durk is stuck in jail for now. Durk's time in Los Angeles might not be any easier than it was in Broward County, but there are definitely some notable differences in the way he's being treated. LA, with its higher profile facilities and more notorious reputation, still presents its own challenges. However, Durk's status as a well-known celebrity has led to heightened security measures around him, which might offer a sense of security in an otherwise difficult situation. The authorities have made it a point to keep a close watch on him, given the charges he's facing and the potential risks that come with being a high-profile inmate. This extra surveillance ensures that everything stays under control, especially when you have someone like Durk, someone whose fame could attract attention, both from other inmates and the outside world. Surprisingly, Durk chose not to go the route that many other celebrities and high-profile individuals typically take when incarcerated protective custody. Protective custody is usually a safe haven for those who fear for their lives or well-being due to the nature of their crimes, wealth, or celebrity status. It's a segregated, more secure area within the prison designed to keep vulnerable individuals away from the general population. Celebrities who have been through the system in the past, like rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine or even former athletes, have opted for protective custody to avoid conflicts with other prisoners who might see them as a target for violence or extortion. But Durk, in an unexpected move, decided against this option. He chose instead to stay in the general population with the other inmates. The reasoning behind this decision is still not entirely clear, but it could have something to do with Durk's desire to maintain a sense of normalcy or perhaps even a feeling of control over his situation. By staying with the general population, he's able to avoid the isolation that often comes with protective custody, which can sometimes lead to feelings of loneliness and mental strain. For many, especially those accustomed to the social dynamics of the streets or the constant hustle and bustle of life in the spotlight, isolation can be one of the hardest aspects of incarceration. Durk may have recognized this and decided that staying among the other inmates would be better for his mental and emotional state. This bold move seems to have worked out for him, at least so far. Reports suggest that Durk has managed to avoid major conflicts with other inmates. In fact, contrary to what many would expect, he seems to be getting along just fine with the people he's locked up with. There have been no significant reports of fights or altercations involving him, and it seems that he has managed to carve out a level of respect within the jail. Durk's status as a well-known figure could help in this regard. Many of the other inmates likely recognize him as a celebrity, which can either work in his favor or make him a target depending on how he handles himself. Durk appears to have handled it well so far, maintaining a low profile and focusing on staying out of trouble. The respect he's earned from his fellow inmates could also have a lot to do with his approach to the situation. Durk, despite his fame, has always come across as someone who values loyalty and street credibility, which are important traits in prison culture. In many ways, it seems like Durk has remained true to who he is, and the inmates are respecting him for that. Rather than putting on airs or acting as if he's above his fellow prisoners, Durk seems to be taking things in stride, perhaps even gaining a reputation as someone who knows how to adapt to difficult circumstances. While his time in jail is obviously not something anyone would choose, Durk's approach to handling the situation in the general population might have a lot to do with his mindset and resilience. For someone who has spent much of his career dealing with the trials and tribulations of street life, the prison system might not feel all that foreign. Durk has always been open about the tough situations he's faced in the past, and his ability to navigate life's obstacles may have given him the mental fortitude needed to handle the pressure of being incarcerated. But it's not just the other inmates who have shown respect for Durk. There's also been a noticeable shift in how the prison staff have treated him. Although he's in a general population unit, it's clear that extra precautions are being taken to ensure that he remains safe. The heightened security measures around Durk are undoubtedly the result of his status as a high-profile figure. The prison system is no stranger to incidents involving famous individuals, and with the history of gang-related violence and targeting of celebrities within the system, it makes sense that the authorities would keep a close eye on him. Durk's experience is a reminder of the complexities of being incarcerated as a celebrity. On one hand, being famous can offer certain protections, like better food, a safer environment, or better access to resources. But it can also attract unwanted attention from both fellow inmates and people on the outside. Celebrities in prison often have to navigate a delicate balance between maintaining their public image, staying safe, and trying to stay out of trouble with the law. In Durk's case, it seems like he's found a balance that works for him so far. The decision to remain in the general population may have been a risk, but it's a risk that seems to be paying off. However, Durk's time in LA hasn't been without its challenges. Despite the general respect he seems to be receiving from the other inmates, the psychological toll of being in jail is not something that can be easily ignored. Being away from his family, fans, and the life he knows undoubtedly weighs heavily on him, and with the serious charges he's facing, it's impossible to predict what his future holds. The legal battle ahead is still very much in the air, and how it plays out will likely have a significant impact on Durk's life, both personally and professionally. But for now, Durk is holding his own. He's staying out of the drama, keeping his head down, and making it work, even in such a tough environment. In many ways, this period in his life could become a defining moment, not just in his career, but in his personal journey as well. His ability to survive and even thrive under these conditions speaks volumes about his resilience, and it will be interesting to see how this chapter in his life unfolds. Now, let's talk about the situation that got Durk locked up in the first place. He's facing charges related to an attack on Quando Rondo, who's connected to the death of Durk's friend, King Von. The whole thing started when Durk and his crew allegedly set up a plan to get revenge. They booked flights to LA, set up shop there, and tried to track down Quando Rondo. Things took a dark turn when they opened fire on Quando and his cousin, although fortunately, Quando managed to escape unharmed. His cousin wasn't so lucky though, and tragically lost his life in the shooting. Afterward, the group met up at a restaurant to talk about payment for the hit. The authorities say they've got footage of the incident and evidence that ties it all together, including CCTV showing the shooting. Even though Quando got away, the whole situation really shook him. Not long after the shooting, a video surfaced of him talking to police and visibly upset when they removed his cousin's body. It's clear it had a huge emotional impact on him. In a later interview, he opened up about how the whole experience affected him, how it made him more cautious and paranoid, always looking over his shoulder. Durk's life right now is anything but easy. But it seems like he's doing what he can to keep his head up despite everything going on. It's tough, but it's a reminder of just how high the stakes are when you're involved in this kind of lifestyle.